So welcome, Adrian, to
What's up, Des?
the humble home. To do the next episode of the football DNA.
Bring it.
That we're newly named. That we're sort of letting everyone know.
We found the name.
We found the name. Football DNA is here. This is the name that
it's in the blood.
You know what I mean? It's where all things football are discussed. Specifically, Arsenal and Liverpool, obviously, getting priority. But we're going to branch out to other teams eventually. But we're so passionate about our teams, we've got to talk about them first.
Big season.
And maybe a few weeks into the season, we'll go on to other teams. But so we're going to talk today about the second game. It already feels like the intensity of the new season starting.
It's incredible, isn't it?
You're drilling in, everyone's hyped, I'm hyped, I'm like Arsenal, I'm like all getting angry already, I've got my placard out, and, Wenger in, banner up, and bringing back kind of thing. So, everyone's like hyped up, Liverpool fans are hyped because
on a high.
They're on a high because they feel like this is it, this is the time. So
obvious changes.
So we're going to jump straight in and talk about Arsenal first. So Arsenal played Chelsea a few days ago. And everyone was as an Arsenal man, we were interested to see what it was going to be like in comparison to City.
Yeah.
And prior to the game, I said to one of my friends, I said, I'm not expecting to see anything different. I'm expecting to see a lot of the same, what we saw against City. The difference being that we'll probably have a little bit more of the ball at times, and we might create a little bit more than what we did against City. Purely because we'll have a little bit more of the ball. But in terms of defensively, I'm expecting to see the same kind of performance.
Sure.
And on that point, I saw the same. I saw some mediocre defending as a team. And the goals we scored as well, you question them,
The new Greek centre-half. What's his name again?
He's got a long name. Papalos, I can't even pronounce it.
Everyone knows who we were on about. It seemed like he wasn't playing for the first half of the game, which is a good thing. I felt like he didn't make any obvious mistakes. He was just Mustafi was the one who was a bit more.
Yeah, I think he's done okay. The problem we've got is with those two players, or with Mustafi and the centre half, is like with the midfield, that they're not mobile enough. Like they don't have the speed.
Yeah,
the turn of pace is not there, and these guys aren't. John Terry or even Harry Maguire. If you look at Harry Maguire, he's not super quick, but if you see his ability to snuff out and read the game is high. His ability to read the game is high, and these guys haven't got that kind of that awareness. So not only have they not got that awareness, they don't have the speed. So it's not the combination you want.
Yeah, sure.
For a back four as well. Like we've spoken about Van Dijk at Liverpool. I don't think he ran. We'll come on to Liverpool, but he didn't run longer than 5 yards because he reads the game so well. We don't have to sprint anywhere.
Sure.
But this is the difference between some of the good players. So I just think those players aren't really well. But it was interesting. So he made a change. He brought Iwobi in. Ramsey got benched.
Well, I thought Iwobi had a decent match, to be fair.
Yeah, Iwobi. They brought him in for the legs. He done. I thought he played well. It was almost felt like it was one of the best games he's had for Arsenal. He certainly he done what we wanted him to do, which was inject some pace. Bit more busy when we don't have the ball. He can get back at it and try and win it. And I think Emery will probably like Iwobi because he's got the engine, and he's surrounded by players in the midfield who haven't got the engine.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Iwobi keeps his shirt for the next game purely on. He looked like he was delivering the tactics of Emery well in terms of that high pressing game, and he's got the fitness to do it.
I agree. I felt like he brought that element of Arsenal that we talked about in the last episode that was missing, like that Arsenal sort of like DNA almost. Do you know what I mean? Because we'll say, who is the Arsenal boy? Wilshire's gone now.
Yeah.
He seemed to take the shirt with a lot of pride that game, and I thought he done himself justice.
Yeah, and I think he knows now, like Wilshere going, like maybe this is a time for him to come out of his shell, because Iwobi's always sort of been in the background a little bit, and he doesn't come across as having this big personality. And obviously he's getting older, and maybe this is his time, to shine. I mean, I've probably been his biggest critic. I've probably slagged him every week for the whole of last season.
That's for sure.
And I'm not saying I've changed my mind on him, but right at this moment, with again Mkhitaryan, Ramsey and Ozil just not having the mobility, not having the pace, it doesn't make sense. Iwobi's coming. Personally, I think they shouldn't have dropped Ramsey because I thought he was the best out of the three against City. So I was quite surprised. I wasn't surprised that he got dropped because he's probably a nicer lad, and Mkhitaryan and Ozil are like these bigger name players than the likes of Ramsey. And it was easier for the manager probably to drop Ramsey.
It's an easy one, isn't it?
Because to have Mkhitaryan or Ozil on the bench, it would have been like big ego sitting on the bench. That you know, that's difficult to manage.
Trying to keep those guys positive, because those guys are taking a lot of flack. Mkhitaryan, when he's at Man United, never quite done it. So his confidence is always it always looks like he's not quite confident enough, doesn't he?
So I was a bit disappointed, because I felt like the manager maybe took the easy option, you know, by dropping Ramsey, because Ramsey maybe he's not going to kick off or, you know, throw his toys at his pram. But it was definitely the right decision to bring Iwobi in. So that was the right decision, and he proved that. But really, the point is Ozil. I mean, Ozil, he had an average game at best. Again, he was poor against City. At best, it was average against Chelsea. I almost think it was.
I didn't even know he was playing, to be honest. I didn't even think he was on the pitch for a long time watching the game.
Because he floats around, he goes missing. He's not there, and the thing is that his position or his role is like he needs to take the game by the scruff of the neck. Offensively, everything should be coming through him. You know, if he's playing well. If Arsenal are playing well, you'll see that Ozil's at the heart of all things good.
Yeah, sure.
So when he's not in the game, it's like you're just cutting off your leg, because you're playing with one leg, you know, because he's not there. He's not involved as much. And I think that, but what, you know, so I was disappointed Ozil wasn't dropped for that game for Ramsey, if anything. But it was interesting because I think on 60 minutes, Ozil came off.
Yeah.
And for me,
I like that. I thought bold. He showed authority with that, because that would not have happened under Wenger. No, sorry, Bob.
Wenger didn't do it ever. Wenger did it once. I think Ozil threw his toys out. He never did it again.
No,
you know, so
exactly. He's almost fearful.
But he walked off the pitch. You could see he was annoyed. Really annoyed. In fact, he was going off. He thought he was going to take a corner or a far corner.
Yeah.
And he walked over to take it. And I think then he had to walk all the way back. So I thought he didn't want to look over at the subs bench when he knew they were doing one, because he knew it would probably be him. And he right at the end he looked and he was like, "Oh, it is me." And he sort of begrudgingly walked over. But he wasn't too happy. But the point was that I just think that Gary Neville made a good point, and he said that he liked the fact that. It was like the manager's giving him this chance. He's saying to him, "Look, I'm playing you. You're the man, right? But if you don't do what I want you to do, you're not going to play." It's like he's putting the ball in Ozil's court, and he's made him captain. Like, he's named 5 captains. One of them, he captained him the side against Chelsea. He had a poor performance against City, and then he went, "I'm your captain today."
Right.
So he gave him the captaincy for the day. He started him when everyone knows he probably could have got benched after that first performance. And then he took him off after 60 minutes. So I've got to give the manager credit, because the manager's sort of going, "Look, I'm playing you, but if you don't do it, off you're coming."
Yeah, if you're not prominent enough, you're going to be substituted.
That.
And that's what we wanted to see, a strong Arsenal manager who's going to make big calls.
Yeah.
You know, it's on Ozil to perform, to at least be in the game more.
Yeah.
And to be fair, he hasn't been as good as we would have liked.
Yeah.
You know, as a neutral, while I like Ozil, he's the type of player I really enjoy seeing him play when he's at his best. But he hasn't quite done it. And to be fair, Chelsea, you know, they were up for it. They were up for it in the sense that they went forward well. But look at the chances that you created. Incredible. And going on to that, I mean, look at Lacazette, not in the team again. Can we understand why in the away game, though? Can we understand why he wasn't playing this time round against Chelsea?
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, I just think that I looked at the midfield, and I'm looking at the manager's choice on midfield, not the players, but the tactics. And there's obviously an imbalance in that midfield between the 3 offensive players, so between the Ozil, Mkhitaryan, Iwobi, Aubameyang, and Xhaka, and the young French lad. To me, there's an imbalance, because one, there's, out of all them players, Iwobi and the young French lad, who's let's be honest, right, he's had 2 good games, right? But let's not get carried away. Right, he's playing in an Arsenal team. He hasn't played at high level, so he might have had 2 of the best games of his life, and he actually looks like a steal in terms of a really good player. But they're surrounded by to me, there's a lack of balance. You know, in that 5, you know, they don't have the width, they don't have the pace, they don't have the goals. Those 5 players between them will probably score 25 goals this year. You know, so who are you relying on to score all your goals? One striker.
Aubameyang's a real goal getter.
No. I'm not talking about Aubameyang.
But Ozil doesn't really get many goals, does he?
I'm talking about the midfield 5.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Ozil, Mkhitaryan, Ramsey, Iwobi.
Well, Ramsey, he could probably get maybe 8 to 10 goals.
That would be his best season. Yeah. But the point I'm making is, right, so to me there's an imbalance, and they're not full of goals.
Yeah, I agree.
So the manager's playing a system where this midfield 5 don't have loads of goals in them. They don't have the pace, and there's an imbalance. But he would rather that imbalance than have the two strikers on the pitch, Lacazette, who between them probably could easily score 60 goals. Given, I reckon, in an Arsenal team.
Yeah,
not even if they win the league, just because they'll score goals.
They've got that in them.
They've got it in them, right?
20 goals apiece, easy.
Easy, but I reckon they could do 30 easy in all competitions. Yeah. There's nothing stopping them doing that if they play every week.
Sure.
Right? But the manager doesn't want that because he thinks there's an imbalance. But I just don't see how they're going to get the goals. And like we saw against Chelsea, I know Aubameyang missed some of the chances, but these players haven't got the goals in them. You know, this is the difference. So you're playing, you want the balance, but they're not capable of scoring the goals as well.
Sure.
So to me, that doesn't quite work. So I just think get the players on the pitch who can score the goals and do the damage. You know, because it doesn't matter how well we play. If we don't score, it don't matter. And against Chelsea, we could have won the game. I don't think we deserved to win the game, but it was more on chances. Even when we were at one point they were winning, I was going, "We've had more chances." You know, they haven't created anything.
Some great chances.
Yeah, we had like about 5 chances to their 1 goal or their 2 goals.
Sure,
it was like, but they're winning. You know what I mean? Like they dominating, playing better than us. They're probing. They're going for it. We haven't to defend a lot, but we're cutting them open and creating clear-cutting open play chances. And we should, just on chance alone, we probably should have won the game. So I just think that imbalance has got to be. I like the fact he's made a change after 1 game, because to me he's not happy. He's changed it. I want to see how long he goes for not being happy with the fact that the balance between trying to score, get the goals ain't there. When's he going to go Lacazette and Aubameyang? You've got to be in the same team.
Sure.
Because
it all comes down to the system that he endorses, and he likes this one up front system. Like that's what we've seen in his previous incarnations at Paris Saint-Germain and at Seville. Always played the one up front, 2 sort of wide floating players, if you like. And it's all about philosophy, and if his philosophy is that, I don't think we'll ever see that, unfortunately.
That annoys me because I just think he's then trying to make players in the midfield playing in a role that they're not capable of either, and I just don't see the point, because even if those midfield 5 had better balance, they still don't have the goals in them. So where are we going to score the goals from? How are we going to win games? What, Aubameyang's going to score all of our goals? He's not.
No,
so
I understand.
In that Arsenal side, the goals ain't there, so I don't know what he's looking at.
You're looking at other teams, I mean, the Cities and the Liverpools at the moment.
These guys have got goals.
They've got goals in them. There's 3-4 players who are 20 goals plus, and that's the difference, isn't it, at the moment with Arsenal?
I mean, Lacazette in the team, he will just score, like, confident playing every week. He will bang in the goals in that Arsenal team, because Arsenal, like against Chelsea, they create the Arsenal will create the same chance against Chelsea and more against most teams.
Yeah, sure.
The only team they didn't do that against was City.
Yeah.
Right, and the odd time you'll play someone like Liverpool or someone or Tottenham or somebody, one of the best teams in the league, and the odd time you play them, it'll be so tight you won't create much.
Yeah.
But for the other 99% of the games, Arsenal will create abundance of chances.
Sure.
But if you ain't got the players on the pitch to take them, it's going to be so memory must have looked at that game gone, all right, we played quite well, we defended in long periods and we kept them at bay, and we done what we did offensively well.
Second half,
but we didn't get the fucking goals.
Yeah.
Don't make no sense. So I mean, I'm disappointed with that. I mean, for me, but I like the fact he done the Ozil, made the Iwobi change. So that's 2 things he done that were positive as a step forward. So to me, I want to see more. I want to see more of that. So we're playing West Ham. West Ham had a bad start.
What about the goalie situation? Czech started again. I thought he played much better. Was much more secure. And he, with his distribution, there was no real nervy moments for me, which I felt was a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing against his old team. Obviously, he's probably going to be up for that as well. For me, I personally would just drop him. And the reason why I would just drop him is because you spent 20 million on a goalie. What's he going to sit on the bench until the point make so many mistakes, or he proves to not be quite good enough, and then what, you're going to drop him and then bring in this goalie, rather than bring the goalie in, show him that you believe in him, you signed him, and let him play from day one. Not when the goalie who you've said, Czech's my number 1, when he fucks up so much, you're then going to bring in the next man. That's to me negative. Like, that's a negative approach to the situation. If he didn't sign this guy,
definitely feels counterproductive. When you can, you look at what's happening at other clubs, i.e. Alisson at Liverpool. Keeper brought in, you're my number 1, in you go.
Yeah.
Or, with the new back 4.
The only thing that's different between Liverpool and Arsenal buying a goalie is that you spent 70 million, we spent 20, but we done exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
We both needed a goalie. We both wanted a goalie that could suit the philosophy or the way we wanted to play. We went out and bought one.
But I don't think your situation was as desperate as our one, because our one was pretty desperate.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I personally think, you know, they were both just as desperate. You've got to look at the end of the day how many goals you concede. And you look at Arsenal and they conceded a lot of goals last year. And I'm not saying they're all Czech's fault, but everyone knows he's been past it for a few years. Everyone knows, everyone's been saying it. Everyone's been saying we need a goalie, a centre-half and a defensive midfielder. Right? And so we go and buy a defender, we go and buy a defensive midfielder, and we go and buy a goalie. So everyone's thinking pre-season, we've got those 3 positions. Only one of them's playing. The centre-half, who's probably the least good out of the 3. Possibly, I don't know.
Well, you know what I'm thinking, what he's probably doing? Like, with the tough start to the season, he's probably thinking, do you know what? Don't want to throw the keeper in straight away to get hammered.
But then he's under pressure. He's under pressure, Rage. If you bring him in 8 games in, 10 games in, Czech's not performing, this new guy is massively under pressure to perform. Because the spotlight, right, they've dropped Czech, it's going to be headline news, Czech's been dropped, in you come, and the pundits and everybody's going to be on him like a hawk if he makes one mistake. Whereas this way they would have gone, the manager believes in you. Even if you made a mistake early on in the first few games, a couple of mistakes here and there, everyone would have been like, right, the manager's got to back him, he's brought him in, give him a chance, and he would have had that. Whereas now, if he comes in, I believe he'll be under so much scrutiny. That's the sort of thing that will crush a man's opportunity, because any little mistakes highlighted, and it's a different situation.
It's a really tough scenario to take, but I take your point, because bring him in where Arsenal are in a bit of dire straits, needing to get results, and you put his keeper in, the pressure is immense.
Yeah.
Whereas I suppose you play in early days against Chelsea and City first game, and it's a bit of a throwaway game. It's like, we know they're difficult, they know probably made a good chance of losing the match, so therefore, you know, it's not on the keeper so much.
Yeah,
you can sort of settle into it, understand it. But now it's like, okay, now we're 2 games in, 2 defeats, West Ham next. God forbid you lose that game. You know, the keeper hasn't been to blame for any of the goals, really. Although his distribution hasn't been bad, but the change is important. I think the change factor is important, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's also the confidence. It's like, it's not just about one individual having performance. The players don't believe in him. The players don't necessarily have faith. It doesn't inspire confidence, you know. So this is the thing. The new goalie's come in. So you look at Liverpool, they brought a new goalie in. That would have inspired confidence before they touched the ball, before they won a game.
Yeah.
Players are confident, we got this new goalie in.
Yeah,
like, they're not mucking about. Like, this guy's good, we've seen him in training, he's good.
Yeah.
And now he's in, it's like everyone's got confidence. Like, so what we're doing is like, we brought a new goalie in and we're like, we don't actually believe in the new goalie.
Right.
We don't really believe in him, and, you know, same with Lacazette. When Arsenal went and bought Lacazette, he was like, put him on the bench. Hang on a minute, you just spent 50, 60 million pound on a player and he's on the bench. Or don't you believe in the player? You can't spend that kind of money and expect, like, when Arsenal spending 20 million pound on a goalie. To Arsenal, that's big money out of a 70 million pound budget. So I just think that's a mistake. But we'll see how that plays out. I mean, West Ham, for me, the reason why it's a big game is because
coming home.
Well, I just,
is it at home,
I'm not sure if it's. I'm not sure actually. I think I'll have to double check. But I just think it's a big game for Arsenal because we know that compared to City and Chelsea, I'm not being funny, especially how West Ham have started. They've been shocking, but I'd expect them to become better against Arsenal because they'll probably believe against Arsenal they've got more of a chance, and they'd be right to think they've got more of a chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I would expect to see Arsenal create enough chances in that game to just kill them, you know, to beat them like convincingly, like maybe Liverpool did, right? Because they'll create that many opportunities.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be a one-sided game because I think West Ham will be up for it. It's a London derby, but I think within the game we'll make enough chances. So it'll be interesting to see how the game plays out. Because if Arsenal don't get a positive result, and I don't mean scrape the result in, Arsenal need a positive result, and a positive result is a convincing win, and it's important how you play. So we need to tidy up, defensively be tight, work harder than we've worked in the last 2 games, have no mistakes at the back, you know, and take advantage of some of the mistakes the opposition make when they make them, and create and hopefully be a bit more clinical in front of goal. But if Arsenal don't do that, and they don't, I think with that team, Arsenal on their day could beat them convincingly. And if they don't do that, I think you're going to see massive pressure. God forbid if they don't get a result. I mean, the fans are going to go absolutely mad, and I think, you know, the pressure will be on for Emery. If he lost that game, I would hate to think what's going to be said, and the pressure that he's going to be under.
I mean, the thing is,
no Arsenal manager has ever lost 2 games in a row in the opening season for something like ridiculous amounts of years.
I mean, I think we can throw away that stat in the sense that,
if you lose the 3rd game to West Ham, who's mediocre at best. They're probably going to be fighting relegation.
The thing is about West Ham is they've actually got some really good players. I mean, Liverpool may have beat them 4-0 on the opening day of the season.
They were poor, Age. They were poor.
They were at
Liverpool beat them in second gear. Liverpool weren't amazing. Liverpool
No.
Okay.
I appreciate that, but what we respect the Premier League because every team has got players who can hurt you on your day, and West Ham have players who can hurt you on your day, and Liverpool just happen to have a very strong side this season, which is able to bat them away in second gear. Where another day they might have caused us some problems.
Yeah, I agree.
Liverpool are at a very high level where they can bat away a West Ham side containing some really sort of dangerous players who can hurt you on their good day. Arnautovic and Hernandez and players of this nature who can score goals. A new Jack Wilshere rejuvenated and such. And we know how Liverpool played, pressed them all over the pitch and just took the wind out of their sails. And then they had Bournemouth last week, and Bournemouth are more of a team than West Ham. West Ham are still forming that collectivity amongst them, and Bournemouth were able to beat them 2-1 on the day, and come back from a goal down. So I think West Ham have got players who are actually quite good. But they
are. But you just got to think, no top 6-7 side is playing West Ham thinking, oh, we should be too worried about this.
They're
not going into that game going, or the fans aren't going to this game going, oh, this is a bit of banana skin here. They're not. They're going into that game going, if we don't smash these guys up, the manager's going to go mental.
Sure.
Like, if United go and play West Ham now, and we don't deal with them convincingly, the manager's going mad. Like, and the fans are going to go absolutely mental as well. And the fans go mental purely on the basis because the fans know you should be dealing with that. Your fans know, even with the quality we got, the fans know that we should convincingly beat West Ham, or we should just have even if it's comfortable 2-0, comfortable 3-0, comfortable game. There was no too much bother. We don't have to be amazing, but we just dealt with it.
I mean, the thing is, it won't be because West Ham have lost their first two. Right?
Yeah.
They're under pressure. They've got players who have come in for a decent amount of money, and the new manager, he's trying to get his point across. They're in very much the same shoes as yourselves in a sense of the new manager, the new sort of philosophy. And they're going to be like, hungry for a result. They need a result. 2 games of defeat. So I think you'll beat them, but I think it'll be a very good game with a few. I'm
not expecting Arsenal. My expectation isn't that Arsenal go and roll them over.
Yeah.
My expectation is that Arsenal, on paper, should go and roll them over because they need to prove that they need to, give the fans something and Emery needs to give the fans something to show that. Hang on, yes, we know this is a transitional season, but we can't just go losing every game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever way you cut the cloth, you can't go losing every game.
No.
How many games do you lose on the trot before you go?
We got a problem there.
So Sam Allardyce said, and I don't agree with Sam Allardyce, and Gary Neville was slagging Sam Allardyce, and I agree with Gary Neville that Sam Allardyce can't just come cussing after one game.
Right.
But you've got to get a result and not be beat. And when you get beat, it's like when we played Chelsea. Arsenal?
I was going to interrupt. Did you see any improvements? In terms of the way the team played. Did you feel like, I see the pattern? There's a pattern here he's working with.
No, this was the disappointing thing against from City to Chelsea. It was like no lessons learned. Defensively, back four still looking. I don't know what they're doing. They were worse. In fact, I thought against Chelsea individually and. Defensively as a team, we were still struggling. If it weren't for the French guy again, he played out of his skin in midfield.
He's a real find.
He looks like a real find, but he's doing running for everyone around. Everyone, he's the only one running.
Yeah.
Everyone around him. So I just think that, again, I didn't see the improvement. Now, for me, they knew they were playing Chelsea before the season started. They've just got their arse kicked against City, and they've embarrassed themselves a bit, if anything. I would have expected the manager to spend all week making that team defensively better. I didn't see the improvement. All I saw that was an improvement, offensive improvement.
Yeah.
Improvement.
I like the way you guys cut open Chelsea.
Offensively improved.
A couple times.
Right, from that game. Defensively, no improvement. Because it was too easy for Chelsea again.
Yeah.
To get the goals they got was too easy.
Sure.
And Chelsea had threats all over the pitch. And do you know what? If you looked at Chelsea's lineup, Chelsea's lineup was a reflection of we're just going to beat Arsenal.
Right. Ross Barkley.
We're just going to deal with Arsenal.
I was surprised to see Ross Barkley playing, to be honest.
Ross Barkley's getting his start.
Yeah.
Hazard's on the bench. They just made the team thinking we're just going to beat Arsenal. And guess what they did, right? So if anything, the manager was vindicated by his decision. Let me didn't even put out my strongest team, give a couple of guys a chance because we're going to beat this team with not even our best team out. And they did. And And don't get me wrong, the result could have gone different, but it didn't.
No, sure.
They got the 3 points.
Yeah.
The manager's like, oh, that's a good result.
Yeah,
I've got to give a couple guys, rest a couple of guys, bring a couple guys in, see what they're like in a big game. They've done it.
To be fair, Hazard was the difference in the end. Like, he came on at 2-2, because you guys fought your way back into the game, and the game arguably could have been leading on the chances created, and it took that sublime brilliance from Hazard to win the match. And I suppose the most annoying thing from an Arsenal's perspective was that you had the game, you had a good result to just cling to, and maybe even nick a winner, and you've ended up losing it, and it felt like maybe we could have done a lot more to preserve our lead.
Well, it's just that I always look at it's always interesting when managers make changes, and you look at what do the opposition managers do to adapt. And this used to annoy me when Wenger was in charge. You'd have the same scenario where there'd be a big player on the bench or a good player on the bench, and they'd bring them on to change the game. And how do the team adapt now? Everyone's got comfortable with who's playing, and everyone's got into a sort of pattern of play. And and this big player comes on. Everyone knows has got the capability to just go and win the game. What does the opposition do? If they don't make special provision and change tactically something, they're going to end up coming on the pitch and causing problems. That's what happened. Was it a surprise when he did that? No. Is it bad management, or do you expect the manager just to go, well, hopefully we'll defend them?
So you're saying he brought on Hazard. What did we do to counteract that change?
Yeah, and I don't think we did anything.
Was there anybody say, look, stay close, somebody pick him up?
That's where you maybe have to change now. Yeah, tactically, we
adapt
have to put someone on him. They brought him on to go and win the game, so you need someone to sit on him.
Right.
Someone needs to be on him for the next 5-10 minutes and maybe break him up for 5-10 minutes so he doesn't get any joy, crush his confidence in the first few minutes. Yeah. Or whatever, or even man mark him, do something that's an attempt to block
prevent him from.
Because we're away from home. If we drew 2-2, and it would have been a good result.
Excellent.
Right? They would have said, hard fought draw. Yeah. You created some chance. You could have won the game. You got a point. Whatever. A good result away from home against Chelsea. So just to not adapt, I just think
I think alarm bells ring a little bit there, don't they?
I'm wondering why aren't you doing something?
Good point. Because Hazard come in and he did look like he had the whole park to do his party tricks, and he was doing all this lovely World Cup form brought back in. And I'm thinking, did not anyone see him at the World Cup, how good he was? You need to stop that guy, because he's going to be the one to spark Chelsea.
Well, he was the best player on the pitch.
Into life.
The best player off the pitch. Yeah. He was on the pitch, on the sideline, but he was the best player in the stadium.
Yeah.
So he comes on and to go and win the game, and he goes and wins the game. But it is of no surprise to everyone watching.
It's almost too easy, though, isn't it? Like, he's come on the pitch, he's given the freedom of the park to, showcase his wonderful array of skills, and nobody gets close to him. Yeah. Nobody. There's no
leaders who go but I think you need the manager. It's not. People will say it's down to the players. People say the players on the pitch. No, and Arsenal sometimes got slagged for going under Wenger, saying there was no leaders on the pitch. There was no leaders on the pitch. But the manager is there, right, to either empower the players to become leaders or help them to become leaders, or to make decisions when they don't make them. The only reason why any manager on the sideline is barking out tactical instructions, right? Telling the player to squeeze up tighter to someone, telling someone to run back faster, telling someone to get goal side, telling someone to pass the ball quicker, telling someone to pass it more directly, or telling someone to run long or go on the outside, and give these constant tactical instructions, is because the players forget. The players forget.
Yeah.
In the moment, the players forget.
Yeah, sure.
If the players were these robotic, they remembered all the tactics down to the T, the players wouldn't have anything barked at them from the sideline.
Absolutely.
I see Pep Guardiola shouting about 1,000 things during a game. Yeah. Tactical things.
Yeah.
Right? He has to shout those things. Because sometimes he's told them to do, they play a certain way and then they're doing something else.
Right.
So he has to remind them.
Yeah, reinforce.
That's not how we do it. So he has to tell them what to do. So he hasn't got time to go into conversation. He can't go going, oh, well, when this happens. No, it's happening. The game's live. He's got to give the instruction on what to do.
Absolutely.
So when the player comes on like Hazard, if no one's picking him up, if no one's straight away gone, right, I'm going to get him, or the captain's not gone, right, you have him because we need to pick him up. The manager should see John or Iwobi or somebody or the young French side, they should go, right, Hazard,
get to him.
10 on him,
get to him.
Like touch tight, stay on him, or give a message out to the closest player. You tell him to go and man mark.
Yeah.
If that's the instruction. Now the manager has to do that. That's the manager's job. They're giving instruction the whole time, through the game.
No, I totally get that, and I think ultimately that's something to watch going forward, like how he reacts to other teams making these sort of substitutions where players who can hurt them, he needs to react to that. So, I mean, predictions for the West Ham Arsenal game?
I agree with you. I think it's going to be a bit of a slugfest. We're probably going to get some goals in that game. You kind of think like there could be some goals, 2-2. I'd like to think Arsenal will win it. I think it's going to be a bit of a slugfest. They're going to be great defenders in that game. We might see a few goals. I'd like to think Arsenal might nick it 3-2. I think that's where it's going to end.
I'm going for a 2-2 draw.
I was thinking 2-2 draw. I was thinking 2-2 draw. But we're into injury time now, so let's wrap up the Arsenal part of the show. So we're going to go to half-time, which is a new look show for us. And we're going to, in the second half, talk about Liverpool.
Let's do it. I'm happy with that.
Cool.